Okay, perfect. Okay, so tonight we are going to look into, I guess, just making our roadmap a little bit clearer and break things down a little bit into easier bite-sized pieces. But maybe we can just start for a moment just with just a little meditation and reflection. So just close your eyes for a moment. And just take yourself back to a point in time that you can remember where you felt connected to the experience of sound and working with sound in a healing or a therapeutic capacity. And maybe it was when you were here coming off the table during a session, or maybe it was before or after. But just take yourself to that moment where you really felt that sort of magic of sound and that click of knowing that this was something that you wanted to do. This was something that you wanted to explore. And just remember how that feels. And remember the inspirations and insights that you've had along the journey since then. And also just come to feel and experience how you see your journey going forward from this moment. Some of you are clear on your vision, and some of you it's still unfolding. Just knowing that we create our future one step at a time. All of the most amazing creations in the world start with one thought or one idea, and then one step. And just really just see where you want to be, what you want to be doing. All right. And whenever you're ready, you can just open the eyes again. So today's class is all about uh, learning to develop our roadmap and our solidifying our ideas and the steps we need to do to create. Um, and we all have an idea of what we want to do, more or less. And we all know that we want that to be doing with something to do with sound potentially, and mostly to do with helping people. Um, and one thing to be really clear on and understand is it's not necessary that you have all the answers, and it's not necessary that you have everything mapped out perfectly. Um, Life is always changing, and we always navigate those changes the best we can, and new things appear and new inspirations come, and certain things that we do sometimes drop away. So whatever plan we create, it will evolve and it will change, and that's perfect. That's how it's meant to be. And to give you an example of, I guess a little bit about my path and my story, and how I tend to operate is I obviously have large goals. I have the idea of um, wanting to make sound healing more known, and more available for people. Um, Part of my goals is obviously teaching, but also practicing. I love to see my clients, and I love to work with people in that way. Every year, I set myself a list of challenges and steps and stages um, that marry up with what my bigger intentions are. And it's definitely okay to have a really big picture of what you want to do. Um, we can often overestimate what we can achieve in a month, but we will often underestimate what we can achieve in 5 years. So looking at a big picture is always really nice. And not everything works out perfectly. Sometimes we push ourselves beyond our comfort zone, and it may not all come off as we plan, and that's okay. We just shift and adapt. For example, this year, at the start of the year, I wrote in my planning book that I was going to teach, I think, three level one courses in New Zealand and teach one in Mexico. And I have the Mexico one planned for September. But it's challenging. I'm finding it more difficult to obviously get myself out there in a country where no one knows me and I also don't speak the language. Um, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to give up or stop trying. It just means it's more challenging than I anticipated. But that's good. So we have to set ourselves goals and move towards them, and not all of them will flow perfectly. But the more we just take step by step by step, um, the easier these things will start to unfold, and the bigger picture will unfold more naturally. We can't necessarily worry about all the small things that don't align, as long as we're moving towards the bigger picture. That's the important piece. Okay, so um, we have a little bit of a slideshow again. Um, just bear with me a moment while I remind myself how to share a screen. Oops. Okay. Share. Hmm. Okay, can you guys see that okay? Perfect. Okay, so today is about creating our roadmap, turning your vision into action. And like I said at the start, some of you are really clear exactly on what you're wanting to do, and some of you are not at all. So it doesn't really matter because you'll have this to sort of refer back to. And if you have got your pen and paper there with you, it's a good idea to write as much down in this moment as you can, because we want to trust our first instincts a lot of the time. Um, but also because life is busy and sometimes when you are not on the call, then you sometimes don't get to it. So definitely write as much down as you can. And then if you have time during the week, that would be a really good time to um, just keep solidifying it and nutting out a little bit more detail within that sort of process. Okay. So if we look at our vision or our goal, we can compare it like a book. So every book has chapters, and every chapter has a purpose. Goals become achievable when broken into smaller stages. And this is a really, really important point. Um, we can have the biggest vision or the smallest vision, whatever it is, but it becomes so much more achievable when we break things down into very small pieces. Success is much more likely if you are doing the forward motion in bite-sized pieces. It's really easy to get inspired and um, feel overzealous in what you want to achieve and rush out and try to do everything. And then sometimes when it doesn't work or life gets busy, then everything collapses again. But if we're just making little small steps consistently, it becomes much, much more achievable to move in the direction you want to go to. So without structure, often our nervous system becomes overwhelmed, fear increases or doubt, and procrastination grows. So this is super common, right? Procrastination is very, very common. And I've taught so many of these courses now, and there is people that will go out and do it, and then there's people that struggle to get going. And that is, for any number of reasons, but we tend to procrastinate. And once we start procrastinating, um, it's easier and easier for that procrastination to continue. So breaking goals into chapters creates a sense of safety, momentum, and focus. Makes it easier in a sense. So to give you an example of what this could possibly look like, let's say your goal is to create a successful sound healing business. And I'm not saying that's what your goal is. This is just purely an example. Um, your possible chapters may look something like building confidence might be one section, developing skills might be another, creating offerings might be another, practicing facilitation could be another, finding clients another, building online presence could be another, expanding into groups and events could be another, and finally, a busy business might be where you're sort of aiming to go to. So by breaking your goal down into chapters, it gives you a bit more of a clear understanding on what the pieces of the puzzle are that you need. So the next step would be then to break each chapter down into small steps. So chapter is normally still too big for our mind to process easily. So we break the chapters into small tasks, habits, action steps, weekly focuses. And this removes overwhelm and builds confidence through completion of small steps or small jobs. You know, how I don't know if anyone is a list person at all, but I very commonly, when I've got a lot on, I write lists of all the jobs I have to do. And they're normally jobs from every aspect of my life, from, doing something with the kids if I have to pick people up or drop people off or do a school project, through to marketing an event, through to teaching, to seeing clients, to mowing the lawns. I always have lists of all the jobs, main jobs that I need to do each week. So when we then add sort of our plan and the structure of what we're wanting to achieve just simply into jobs on a list, it's much easier to sort of work with. So an example of what this could look like. So in the example I used, the chapter one could be building confidence. So then our small steps might look something like practice daily grounding or meditation or whatever it is that is anchoring you in or grounding you and making you feel good. Facilitating for friends. Recording your voice is a really great thing to do if you're trying to build confidence. Share one post online weekly. This is a great challenge, especially if you have difficulty getting yourself out there. Journaling fears and limiting beliefs. So that's often a big part about what slows people down in this work is thinking that you're not ready yet or you're not quite good enough. So journaling these fears and starting to understand that they are just simply limitations in our mind can be really useful. Attending community events. Do one small thing every week that takes you out of your comfort zone. And then another example, just for another one of those chapters, just selected to at random, finding first clients. So breaking that down into steps could be get clear on your offering. Who is your market? What are you actually trying to do? Are you doing one-on-one? Are you doing group work? Are you wanting to focus on a special aspect of working with people? Maybe you want to work with people with stress and anxiety, or maybe you want to work with um, elderly people. Who are you offering to? Practice with friends or family. Offer a few low cost or donation sessions. Collect testimonials and feedback. Share your work consistently online. Speak about your services confidently. Connect with aligned communities. Collaborate with other wellness practitioners. Create a simple booking process. Stay visible and consistent even when growth feels slow. Attend wellness expos with information and demos. So these are just examples again of steps. And just so you know, down the track as we get going, we're actually going to go into this type of thing in a lot more detail about marketing and engaging clients. But this is just for an example of understanding how to break down a chapter into steps. So once you start to do this process, you need to go back and look at everything that you write down, all of your steps, and you need to be honest with yourself. Can and will I do these steps? So if anything seems too big or too challenging or a little bit too daunting, then you may need to break it down again into smaller steps. Can I or do I need to break any steps down? Can I answer yes that I can do that to each step? Is there any reason I can't do this? And it sounds, really simple and sometimes we think, oh, I don't really need to do this sort of thing. But once we really lay it out as simply and cleanly as possible, it becomes so much easier to actually take the action and do what is required. All right, and building momentum. So small wins create confidence. Every completed step sends a message to the mind, I can do this. Momentum grows when goals are realistic, steps are measurable, and progress is acknowledged. So, what I want you to do just before we carry on with this process is have a quick think and a reflection on what your goal is. And if you are still in that point where you're not super clear, that's okay. Um, just go along with the process with what could be. And whatever your goal is, just have a little think about what the main chapters could be. If you were imagining your goal or your vision was like a book, what would 6 or 7 chapters or 6 to 8 chapters look like? What could be some possibilities? And just have a little write down. And you may need to spend a bit more time contemplating this through the week, but just have a little write down right now of what comes through to you in this moment. Is it making sense so far? Does anyone have any questions or comments at all? Okay. So definitely, if you can squeeze in some time this week, take some time to sort of go into this in a bit more detail and then look at how you can break these steps down. But it's good just to start jotting it down now as well, just in case you don't get time, but also just whilst that inspiration is there, just to see what does arise for you. But I will just keep going for the minute, and then we can have a little bit more time in a moment also. Okay. So plane leaving the runway does not instantly reach full altitude, builds up speed gradually before liftoff, and your journey works the same way. Um, and I really just cannot stress this point enough. Small steps are the key to go. A meaningful life is not built in one moment, it is built through the small choices we continue to make each day. I really like that quote. It's so easy in life to get impatient and we want everything now. We want to have lots of clients immediately, we want to be busy immediately, but it's important just to remember that it takes time. And it only comes by doing the actions that we map out for ourselves. So, flexibility and trust. So, this roadmap is not a prison, it is guidance. Life may redirect you, new opportunities may appear, your vision may deepen or change over time. This is natural. The goal is not rigid perfection, the goal is conscious movement. And like I said earlier, life is always changing. The only thing consistent in life is change. And we have to be ready to roll with that. The more you tend to open yourself, particularly into this world of working therapeutically with people, and I guess in more of the spiritual lines, life has a way of guiding you where you need to go. Different doors will open for you, different paths will present themselves, and it's okay to change. It's okay to um, try new things and open doors that are being presented for you. And some of them might work well, and some of them might not. But definitely allow yourself also to be guided, by that sort of universal spirit or energy. Because when you are putting it out there into the world that you are doing good and you're wanting to help, then normally the universe is going to open up ways to help you do that. So that flexibility and trust is really important. So this week, your main job is to write your book. So write the book title. What is your vision? This is the main piece, and still doesn't matter if you're not super clear. It's okay. Just go along with the process and what could be your vision, what might be your vision. That's okay. If it changes, that's perfect. And then as you've just hopefully done a little bit already, create 5 to 7 or more chapters. What are the major stages needed to reach this goal? And again, these chapters will change. You might get new ideas, new insights. You might realize there are new things, particularly as we go through the next few weeks, when we start to look at the things that are inhibiting us. These might bring new chapters that are added, things that are holding us back in our mind and in our patterning of why we do certain things, why we limit ourselves in certain ways. But for now, just write down the major stages needed to reach your goal. And then once you've achieved that part, then break each chapter into small steps. What practical actions support each stage? And can I say yes to each of these smaller steps? Will I do this? Can I do this? Is there any reason why I wouldn't do this? And if there is a reason or if there is hesitation, break it down smaller. Take it into a smaller piece that you will definitely do. And then step 4, choose this week's focus. What are 1 to 3 achievable actions you can commit to this week? And this could be as small as you like. It might be your achievable action might be just to spend half an hour on this project. That would be an excellent action step. You might have more than that. You might have some things that you can actually move towards. But choose something that you will do, no matter how small it is. But pick something that you can do. Does that seem okay? Does that seem manageable and easy? Any questions at all so far?
I just really like this concept. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it makes it easy, right? It makes it simple.
I have a question. Do you, when you're mapping out the chapters of your book, do you obviously they can be subject to change, but do you give yourself time frames or like realistically, like, like a deadline to make it so that you actually fulfill each task?
Yes and no. So in my big picture stuff, I do not have set time frames, but in my little steps, I do. Yeah. So um, normally I have my yearly breakdown that I do at the start of the year, and that obviously changes because, a lot changes in life in one year. But I normally have a list of steps I want to achieve in that sort of yearly bracket. And then I have, to a certain degree, monthly, but probably more so weekly, things I want to tick off this week. And I guess that's more the way I use a time frame of doing it. These things this week, these things this year, and sometimes these things this month. Um, and for example, today, um, I had quite a lot to do teaching and client wise earlier in the day. And I knew I had about 2 hours free to tick off some jobs. So I had to contact this person, this person, this person to try to arrange events and this sort of thing. So yeah, I put it more on like a weekly job list rather than complete by X amount of time. But you do whatever works best for you. Sometimes it is good to be like, yes, I want to have this stage completed by within 3 months. Um, yeah, you can take it either way, really. Mhm. Yeah. Any other questions at this stage?
Sorry, I have another one. Do
Yep.
you like, I'm thinking like what some of the possible chapters would be, and I can see it getting, this is just the way my brain works with overwhelm. Like delving, like reading some of this chapter and then coming over here to some of this chapter, like sometimes it's not as straightforward as following one particular chapter at a time because you might be lending yourself to different chapters at various times. Like, is that
Yep.
something you struggle with, and how would you meet that?
Yep. No, that's totally fine. It's not that the chapters don't need to be in order or anything like that. That's when you would, at the start of the week or the month, look at your sort of list and look at your small steps and then choose what steps you're going to do that week or that month. So it could be a step from this chapter, a step from that chapter. They don't need to be in order, which is perfect if you need variety in life.
And I do, and I think that's what often happens. I get distracted with other more excitable tasks.
Yeah,
So I've created a hack day. I call it Do Day Tuesday, which is basically I have to tick off 3 jobs that I am really putting off for whatever reason. And then that means that, yeah, those less fun jobs actually get done rather than just focusing on all the fun things.
yeah,
The
yeah,
thing like all the marketing stuff, I really hate that. And self promotion is another one I really struggle with. It's just, yeah, not enjoyable. It's not as fun as actually doing the event.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, from.
Okay. All right. So then just a couple of questions to reflect on. And you can write this down if you've got your pen and paper there. Just write what sort of comes into your mind. First question, which part of your roadmap feels exciting? You can just write down first thing that pops into your mind. And then which part feels intimidating? And is there any resistance that keeps showing up for you? And what small step feels achievable right now for this week? And what support do you need moving forward? Again, these questions are just designed to open your awareness, make you think the answer is not so important at this stage. Okay. So again, key to remember, sustainable growth beats short bursts. Many people burn out because they try to transform everything at once. And burnout may be the wrong word, but get disheartened or lose faith or trust in yourself is along those lines. Real transformation is built through consistency, patience, self-awareness, small aligned action. Slow progress is still progress. And it doesn't mean progress has to be slow, but it means that that's often how it is. Small steps is way better than trying to jump too far too fast and then losing the momentum. That momentum is really key. You do not need to force your future into existence overnight. Your role is simply to stay connected to your vision, keep taking aligned steps, trust the unfolding process, one chapter at a time, eventually the completed story. And I like this quote by Vincent van Gogh. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Um, and that is really caps off this process quite well. Okay, so that is the end of that little slideshow. Okay, any other questions arising from this at all? Good.
Yeah, I haven't. I've been doing quite a bit of this lately because I've been doing quite a few other courses and about writing goals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I really struggle to stick to something, like I'll write it all and then I just get distracted and then I just go off and forget about it. And like I've already done all this like 2 weeks ago and I'm like, oh shit, where my goal is? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, have you got any tips that actually I can just I don't know if it's laziness or discipline. Maybe it's like discipline. I'm just like, I feel like sometimes I'm just away with the fairies. I just want to do the fun stuff, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So I just need discipline, and focus, and I'm just not really good at them at the moment.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, what we're going to look at, I think next week, I have to check my teaching schedule, is exactly this, looking into our patterning of why we why we do and why we don't do certain things.
Mm.
Um, but have you done the process before of writing it like a book with the chapters and then the small steps?
Well, not called that. I mean, I do the small steps to get to the big picture. Like I've
Hmm.
done that, but I've never heard it called a book in chapters, but it's the same
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
I'll start out with a hiss and a roar, and I'll do all my marketing campaigns and start going on Facebook and doing everything. And then I'm just like, I'm bored with that now.
yeah,
It's just like I don't stick to it.
yeah,
And so I never really get ahead because I just fade out.
yeah. Yeah, and it's super common. I mean, the most important keys are to really go slow and steady.
Mm,
Build like like what we're trying to do with the work that we're going to do in this 6 weeks is we're trying to like layer out all the foundations or the roots of what we want to do so that then we can slowly layer on bit by bit through just steady action
mm,
into what we want.
yeah,
Um, I mean, a lot of why we don't do or why we get distracted is down to our internal patterning. Um, Whether we have certain tendencies or certain traits or self-sabotaging beliefs that are, at that sort of subconscious level.
mm,
These are often what gets in the way of us maintaining. Um, I mean, the best thing I could say at this point is just to keep writing things down and committing to your actions
yeah,
and really make them small. If you tend to lose interest and get sidetracked, just keep it small but keep it steady. A lot of the time, it's because we're trying to do too much at once, and then that overwhelm sets in, or the boredom sets in of the frustration of trying to do too much, and we let it slide away. So small, steady steps would be the main thing I'd say. But once we start to look into our mind and our patterning, that may uncover some more tips for you as well.
yeah. I definitely think discipline's a thing, one of the things.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
that would be a great chapter to have for one of your pieces, and then break discipline down into
yeah.
into multiple steps that you can do. And the thing with discipline is understanding it a little bit too. I had a yoga teacher. Uh, he always painted discipline in a really interesting way because I guess in my early 20s, I had a very disciplined yoga life, getting up at 4 a.m., X amount of time meditation, X amount of time breathing exercises, X amount of time doing yoga asanas and study of philosophy every day. Um, but the way he explained discipline was we often have this idea of discipline as boring and inhibiting our freedom. Um, but in actual fact, when we have discipline, it's creating freedom for us because it's leading us more to what we're wanting to do. And one way to develop discipline is just to choose a few simple things that you don't like or that you find difficult and commit to doing it for a period of time. It
Mm,
could be something silly like, I don't know, giving up sugar for 1 day a week or fasting for one meal per week or something like that. Just little random items of discipline that you don't like to do but could be good for you tend to strengthen your mind and strengthen the muscle of discipline, if you like.
yeah.
Mm,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. Mm. Any other questions at this stage?
I find with that point too, because I so relate, to that. And I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD, and so my mind's very distractible, and I get excited with all different projects and hobbies and creativity and what have you. And I find the accountability, it's like that's why part of the motivation to sign up to this was because, there's, like we want to do you proud, Bram. We come in with a hiss, a bang, and a roar with the course, and, we're so excited about it, and you hold such beautiful space. And then we go away and, we've got all the tools and the things, but, the things hold us back. But with the accountability of showing up every week, I guess it would be really easy for me, except I know my flaws, to sit in for this hour and then completely forget all of the tasks you've set for us to do. So immediately after the call last week, I set myself a series of alarms throughout the week so that it was like, ding, 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 do this. And then I actually did my actions rather than just writing it down and then losing it on a bit of paper somewhere. And I found that like having the alarms just reminds me, because sometimes it's not even that I don't want to do something. It's just life creeps in, and then there's all these other jobs and they mount. And so, yeah, I found in terms of building my own discipline that alarms can be a really good idea to just hold me accountable. Like obviously I still have to act upon the alarm, but it helps. And then obviously meeting weekly. And you also talked about how you were going to buddy us up. Are you still thinking you'll do that?
Yes, yep, that is coming this week. That is, I wanted to do this piece first, and then So that takes me on to that probably tomorrow or the next day I'll message you kind of individually and let you know, introduce you to your partner, which most likely you'll kind of know already. And then the idea is that you can check in with each other as much as you like, but at least twice a week, sort of once at maybe the start of the week and once at the end of the week. And all you need to do is tell each other what you're going to do this week, what your action steps are, and check back in at the end of the week and just notice how you've both gone. And that simple step of knowing that you're going to have someone check on you, even though there is no liability within that check, but we like to fulfill that responsibility normally. So yeah, that accountability is going to come in this week, which will be nice too. And actually, just a random tip for those of you that struggle with computer work and anything along the idea of marketing and not the actual fun part, so to speak. Those of you that have done level 2, putting your binaural beats on and the better brainwave track is a really great way to stay sharp and focused on what you're doing. And those of you who haven't done level 2 yet, if you do want binaural beats, I can do sessions over Zoom for that one. But it's a great way, just a tool to stay sharp and focused. Because I personally struggle with anything computer related, obviously, as you've seen. But by listening to binaural beats, it helps just to keep me zoned and tuned and focused. So that better brainwaves are really good for that.
Hey, I use like Insight Timer. Can I just Google binaural? Like, is there a certain frequency that I should use, or?
Yeah, you definitely can do. So the way I work with binaural beats is there's a system called your home note, because we all have a different beat or rhythm within us. So when we attune the binaural beat to us, it becomes a lot easier to sync the brains. But you can,
Oh no, I didn't realize that. That sounds cool.
you can find probably better brainwave states. It's just a bit hit and miss if it actually syncs up with you.
Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Cool. Any other questions so far?
Just on the binaural beats, I remember, again, one of those things I did in action. You sent through the leaks, but again, tech phobic, and it was a bit of a rigmarole to access them. Is it still the same method that you used when we did level 2, or is it a little bit easier now?
No, it's still the links, I'm
Or
afraid.
painful?
They're
Okay.
just such big files. But if you just click on the link, if you're on your phone, it should start to download it straight away. And
Okay.
then you go into the downloads folder and then unzip it or extract it, depending on what your device is.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm happy to chat you through it on the phone if you have trouble with it.
I think I'll just do it on the due day Tuesday. I'll just go and actually properly look at it. Can you do it on your laptop as well? Like if you're working on your laptop, you can
Yeah,
download it to play it that way. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Thank you.
cool. Okay. So yeah, and just in regards to the whole thinking of this goal like a book thing, um, a nice way to remember it too is it's not just um, writing this book as a goal and a set of lists, but you can also think of yourself as you're becoming an author of your own life. The way you want your life to move, the direction you want it to go in. It starts with you thinking and you planning. Um, it is so easy and common to show up in life and just, go with where life takes you. And sometimes that's great. Sometimes that works out really well. But there is a lot of people out there in jobs that they don't like and, not really in an amazing process within their life, particularly, if you look into, let's say, more of the unconscious world. But this process, when you really take it on as you are becoming the author of your own destiny, every action step that you write is part of a step that is moving you in a direction that you want your life to go in. And that's a really nice way just to hold that contemplation of it. You have the power, you have the direction to move in whatever way you want to. All you have to do is break it down, write it down, and then start taking the steps that you need to take. There is nothing that is not possible. As long as you keep your mind on it and you keep your feet moving one step at a time in the direction you want to go, you will get there. And then once you get there, there'll be something else, and then you keep moving in that direction. But life is easier when we know what we want and when we start to plan it out, rather than just letting life live us. We live the life we want to live. Okay, and now that's pretty much what I had to say for this class. And just to open up, if there is any questions about this or about sound or anything else that you may have today, I'm happy to answer anything I can.
I've got something really random.
Yep,
When
I'll
we
bring
did
it
our
on.
course, you took us through this exercise every morning, and I did it for ages afterwards, and I loved it. And then I kind of just forgot about it, and now I just can't remember. But it was like bringing in the energy, one way, then you did it the other way, and I just can't remember it. And I've tried Googling it, and I can't find it.
Oh, the Taurus activation. Um,
We did two things up out in the grass out by the stones.
mhm.
Yeah.
Oh
Is there
well,
any way I could find that, or just give us a
it's
name?
it's a mishmash of various bits and pieces that I just do, but I normally started with twisting the body
Yeah,
and then shaking the body
yeah.
and then drawing energy sort of from above and below, rubbing the hands together
Oh,
and
that's it.
moving it
Yeah,
through
so
the
it goes
body.
like that, eh?
Yep. And then the Taurus activation was you can either draw from above, bringing it down and then spreading it through the field, and then doing
Oh,
the
yeah.
opposite of drawing from below, expanding out and spreading out. And then you can do both at the same time, drawing from above and below, rotating and just
Oh,
feeling
yeah.
that sphere of energy around you front and back. I can send you a little video for that one from Robert Gilbert's.
That's the one that we watched, with you in
Yeah,
class. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, because I just would love to start doing that again.
yeah. It's a really nice little practice to do. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
it's on Gaia, but I think there's a lower quality clip somewhere online. I'll find it and post it in the chat.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Hmm. Any other questions at all? All good. Okay, so um, you have your jobs and your homework for this week. If you get busy, that's okay. But if you can and you do have the time, just spend a little bit of time just trying to um, get this process out on paper. And you don't need to do everything this week. All you need to do is start. That is the key thing. I'll send you the slide show through again, so you've got that to refer to. Just make a note of the things I need to do. Send slideshow,
Photo of
Taurus,
your room.
Taurus activation. I do a video of my room. Was there anything else? Oh, and I will organize you guys into your
That is.
peers for accountability. Perfect. Okay. If no one has any other questions, that is pretty much it for today. So I will see you guys next Monday. And if anyone does want to, catch up, I think I still need to catch up for you, Debbie, at some point. But if anyone does also want to catch up at any point, or have a question you want to ask me personally, I'm always available. So just send me a message and we can link up.
Oh, thanks, Ryan.
All right. You guys
Have a
have
good.
a great rest of your evening and an inspired week, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you.